I was thinking about it today, and sometimes, I say that I'm unbiased. And part of being unbiased is to understand your own bias. I mean, everybody has some bias in some way, shape, or form. My bias is kind of fermented in one simple area. It's, hey, what are the facts of the loss? And that's about it. It makes life pretty simple. But I wanted to tell you, the day that I really understood the insured. I was in Gentilly, bunch of two-story buildings after Hurricane Katrina, and I'm in a building. And at that time, it was interesting because at that time we didn't usually meet the insured when we went to go see something because everybody was gone. So they just arranged for us to show up, and sometimes we'd even have to break in to do it. So as we're as I'm moving through this, I'm standing on the second floor of this house, and I'm doing some looking at the wind damage. And I mean, it's so quiet, and everything's brown, and it's an eerie quiet. Because it'd been there so many days when it wasn't that way. I mean, you wouldn't even hear at that point many cars come by or anything like that. So as I'm standing there writing my notes in my notebook, I hear somebody wail, and it's that kind of cry that's so just so specific because it feels like absolute hopelessness. And it just cut through the silence. And I I came downstairs. I walked out the front door. I stood out there on the stoop, and I looked across to the neighbor, and there was a lady sitting there just with her head down, just weeping. And I went over to her and I said, "Ma'am, is there something I could do for you? Could I get somebody to help you get your house back in order? Could we call? Could we? Can I carry you somewhere? Is there anything I can do to help you? We can definitely get your house fixed." And she looked up at me with just bloodshot eyes and said, "See across the street there? That's where my daughter lived with my two grandchildren. She's gone to Atlanta and she's never coming back. Two doors down that way, that's my son and his wife and his young baby. And they moved to Washington State, and they never coming back here. That lady two doors up that way, we sat here on this porch every day for 30 years, having coffee at 6 a.m. in the morning. And she died trying to get to safety. We not building my church back. There's not enough money or insurance to do it. That diner that's 2 blocks that way, they not coming back either. And that's where we met the whole neighborhood." He said, "Mister, I appreciate your help, but you can't fix this. You can't fix this." I think about that woman and what she said to me, if not every day, most days. Because there are times that mark time where that is, what is before and what's after. And I can honestly tell you, she marked time. I did go back by there almost 4 months later to go deal with another matter on the same structure. And I did meet the homeowner at that time. And I said, "I met your neighbor. Is she getting her place back together?" He said her kids came, picked her up, and she moved to Washington State. I suspect that lady's either very old or dead and gone by now. But the thing I think we don't really understand is the trauma that is visited on the insured. And that has nothing to do with a statement for or against an insurance company. That has to do with understanding on all of our parts what the trauma really is. You know, I've had the privilege of being touring the role of the insured lately. And I've written a whole lot of things to my adjuster, my desk adjuster, since we don't seem to adjust things in the field anymore. And I close every note I write to her and say, my family continues to have a great deal of trauma, and we are relying on you to help us navigate this very difficult time in our life. We thank you for your efforts. I don't say that to woo that person into submission. I say it because it's the God's honest truth. You know, I'm doing an umpire gig right now where the insured, it's so weird because they had a fire in their garage, which it came through into one of their interior rooms. And of course, then you have the fire department and all that. But I mean, the soot's all over. And originally the carrier paid $4,700. They expensed out $62,000 worth of loss of use. They paid $44,000 in contents, but only $4,700 in dwelling. And it's 14 months later, and the insureds are living with their parents in another state because they have no more loss of use money. That's not me being pro-insured and against the insurance company. But I will say, wouldn't it have been wise to find a way to work that out before 14 months down the road? Wouldn't it have been a better way to end the trauma? I honestly don't know when I do get my house back together. I don't know. I don't know if I could lay down my head at night in the bedroom that burned. I don't know that I could do it. I don't know that I would feel that my wife was going to be okay, that my animals were going to be okay. It's trauma. It's legit. So at least when we deal with these people, we should understand that. That's why when I act as umpire, the last thing I do before I leave on a residential loss or a commercial loss is I say, Mr. and Mrs. Insured, I know this has been a long time for you, but I can assure you this is going to be over very, very soon. There will not need to be any more visits to your home. And I'm sure that I'm going to do my work in a way that's going to end this very, very soon. And when I do that, I see legitimate relief in their eyes. I'm not doing it because I'm saying I'm going to butter their bread for them. I'm saying it because I understand they have trauma. And part of ending the trauma is just saying, hey, it's done. It's over. Let's go to the next chapter. Let's mark time. Claim settled. Happy day. Move on. It doesn't have to be perfect. You know, and if I'm being completely honest, if my insurance company had made me a legitimate offer that didn't take it to the extremes that it probably belongs now, and they had done that in a timely manner, I probably would have taken it just because it would feel like ending the trauma. You can be unbiased and you can still understand that pain that you're helping to quell. And I think in the claims tribe, we sometimes don't realize that. You know, at Wright Loss Claim Rating, our estimation firm, when we send out the field crew, I always remind them, I said, you may be the first positive thing the insured's seen since this process started. Whether or not you're really helping, I mean, you are assessing it so that it can be estimated, it can be brought to whoever, but whether or not you're helping, just the fact that you are doing something that appears to be caring is awesome and means more than they know. I have a client who's a roofer, and the roofer does something that I just absolutely love. He goes and has coffee, usually coffee or tea or something, with the insured the day before they work on their roof and the day they finish working on their roof. And he doesn't do that because he's picking up money. He does that to say to them, hey, we're going to get your roof on. It's going to go quick. You're going to be watertight. And to come back and say, I did what I said I was going to do. I asked him why he did that, why he does that. And he said, because they get told so many things that are supposed to be. And that this is going to happen, that this is going to happen, and this is going to happen. And I can give them something where it indeed does happen. And I can remind them that they made a choice that got them to the next place. And in some way, it reduces the level of stress or trauma that they may have in this entire process that they do. He also, by the way, told me that he does, especially in 2 states, he does a lot of work as a contractor that works directly for the insurance company. And he does the same thing when he's working for the insurance company. Because he said it's the same thing no matter what it is. And he thinks that anybody in the claims tribe, and I agree, anybody in the claims tribe should be able to say to somebody, hey, this is what we're going to do. And then say, we did it. And for my part, I try to be that. For my part, I try to always go with the facts. And at the same time, have a decent understanding of getting it done quick so that win, lose, or draw, the insured has an end point. You know, I learned doing project management years ago that there's a difference between a process and a project. A process is like a ditch that goes on forever. A project has a start and an end. And I like being closer to the end on many days. And I like being closer to the front on many days. But the point being, there's not a single thing that we could do that's more fair to everybody involved than to put some velocity in our work. That's why I'm usually waiting on people to sign awards longer than they're waiting on me to send them, because I think it's disrespectful to the entire process to just drag my ass. Guys, sorry about the long video. I had a lot on my mind this afternoon. It could be because I was trying to retrieve a piece of furniture from my burnt house that was in the least damaged area, but nonetheless, it had all these divots in the wood. So I refinished this file cabinet, and I'm sure I've sucked up plenty of stuff that makes me loopy. But guys, I appreciate you. Let's do it right by everybody, and let's keep our mind on the insured. Peace.